Hello everybody, it's Nym and welcome back to my channel. So today we are starting a new zoo. Last week we finished our woodland zoo. I gave you an all tour of that. If you're interested in that, there will be a playlist at the end of this video and you can watch that series as well. I believe there were 17 videos on the woodland zoo, and today we are starting off our new zoo, and it's going to be a tropical zoo. It is located in Asia, so we are gonna have a lot of Asian animals in here, and we are starting off with some terrain work. So what I normally do is I build a zoo and I start building and then I form the terrain, and I found out that it didn't always work out that good for me because, you know, it's just very difficult, and that's probably just something personal, but it's very difficult for me to mold the terrain for every habitat perfectly. So what I wanted to try was to first mold the entire terrain, so do the entire map with terraforming and water and plants and all that stuff, to have like a general map, and then add on to that while doing the habitats. So that is what we are doing today, and I will also be taking you in the ins and outs of what I plan to do with the zoo and the kind of ideas we're having, style-wise, animal-like, you know, all that stuff will be in this video. But before we talk to any of that, we are going to have a quick talk about the terrain. I absolutely loved molding my terrain map. I think that I'm going to make more maps. It took me long enough, like this almost took me, like time-wise, it took me 5 or 6 hours, but divided that over like a week. So I spent an entire week on terraforming this map, and that mostly had to do with the mountains that I'm going to build. So I wanted this map to be completely cohesive with the surroundings. So we are making mountains. So we are first just laying off this quick scale of where we want the mountains and how high we want to be them, and then the fun really begins. And when I say fun, I mean that sarcastically. It was most definitely not fun. I mean, it was fun, but also it wasn't fun. And you will see what I mean here. So the big problem with terraforming in this game is that your brush is not big enough. This is the biggest size brush that we had, and it took me so long. Like, I honestly, guys, okay, I just had a movie on my second screen on Netflix, and I just watched a movie while doing this because, oh my gosh, it took me so long and it was so tedious. Luckily, the plus side of that is that I had some really good ideas about what I wanted, and that time wasn't really a big issue for me, so I could just go on and mold away and do all that stuff, so that really wasn't a big deal. There will also be a lot of cuts in this video because when I had all the footage sped up, who is going to watch me mold a map for like 45 minutes? I don't think anyone is going to watch that. I mean, I personally wouldn't watch that because that is way too long, and it's not like I'm giving you an explained detail on how I'm doing that. I mean, if you want that, just comment down below and I can make a map with you guys. You can do that with me together, and then we can I can explain to you how the terrain tools work and how everything is. Because, you know, even if I say so myself, I'm getting quite handy with the terrain tools. I actually really like that. I came to that conclusion in the woodland zoo with the dull sheep habitat. Again, playlist down below and at the end of the video. That terrain was actually pretty darn good. So, you know, I'm very confident with this terrain tool. Very happy with it as well. So right now we are making some more mountains, and I feel like this would be an excellent place in this video to have a chat about the zoo and what we want to do. So I want to make this a very high detailed zoo, which is very difficult because maybe I'm very good with terrain, but the building aspect of this game, I still have a lot to learn about that. So my time is spent building in Planet Zoo and watching YouTubers that play Planet Zoo because I want to learn the ins and outs about all the objects and how to use it. And I have to say, I recently started watching Koali Zoo. I know I'm very late to the game, don't judge me. And they have some excellent ideas, and they have some really innovative way of using some of the objects, so I'm really digging that, so that's good. So this is going to be a very high detailed zoo. I want to keep it very natural, and with natural I mean wood, but also stone, but also sometimes quite modern, because, you know, zoos, they are consistent of old buildings and newer buildings. The older buildings will be old, so they'll be more traditional, more wood-like, and then some of the modern buildings will have some more plaster and other materials. And I'm quite into that. I mean, I quite dig that, so we are gonna do that. And I had some amazing ideas already. I also, because we are in the Asia continent with the tropical biome, I wanted to add a lot of monkeys in here, so kind of like a, I don't know, monkey paradise or something. I'm quite digging that. I mean, if you've watched any of my other Planet Zoo videos, you know that I haven't done a lot of videos about monkeys, but you would also know that monkeys are my favorite animals to see in the zoo. I can't help it. I love monkeys. I don't know why, but they just really fascinate me. Fun story, okay, just in between, then I'll continue talking about the zoo. I went to the zoo a few weeks ago, and there was this monkey that was flipping me off. She just gave me the middle finger, and I was just like, whoa, monkey, that's quite rude. But it was also quite funny, so... Anyways, going back to the zoo. So we are gonna have a lot of monkeys here, a lot of primates, and I'm very excited for that. I have some amazing ideas. There's also an island in the middle of this map, and I'm thinking of making that either a capuchin monkey island or a lemur island. And I also want to add a boat ride in the middle of this big giant lake that we have there, so you would be able to go on your little boat and, like, I want to say fly, but that's not a word. Sail? Is sail the right word? Be next to all the habitats and observe them like that. And I actually think that is a quite brilliant idea, even if I say so myself. So right now we are molding the waterfalls in here, so don't mind me, like, I'm gonna mess this up quite a bit, so there's gonna be a lot of cuts again. Sorry, not sorry. So there's gonna be a lot of monkeys in here, but I also really had the idea of putting in some Bengal tigers, which I think are just tigers in this game, but I want to call them Bengal tigers. They're actually quite rare, so love that. I also already had some brilliant ideas for the entrance concerning some wood and glass roofing. Still had to quite figure that out. There are gonna be obviously some tortoises in here as well, because I just feel like you need to have them in a zoo. Like, don't expect any kangaroos or koalas in here. This is not the Australia Zoo. If you want to watch an Australia Zoo, there is a playlist linked down below as well. Watch that. It's entire zoo already. You also got a zoo tour. It's completely finished. Watch that if you're in here for Australia animals. This is going to be fully functional Asian. Now, I say Asian, history is probably going to repeat itself, meaning that halfway through this zoo, I'll decide on something else, because I had a brilliant idea yet again. So don't pin me down on that. Just don't. But we're trying, okay? At least let's call it a tropical zoo. Let's just call it that. And we are somewhere in Asia, but, you know, we're not exactly sure where. Even though on the map I did click on Japan, because I absolutely love Japan. I can't help it, I love it. It probably has to do with all the anime that is from there. But, you know, that's irrelevant right now, because we're not talking about anime. We are talking about Planet Zoo. This rock work, if you have watched any of my videos, or, like, I don't know, like, people talk about me, I'm not sure. If you have talked to people that watch my videos, you would know I'm a complete freak for rocks. I love rocks. Rock. Bad pun, but I still love it. Rock work is my thing. It's my jazz. Together with landscaping and what's the word? Flowers, plants. I mean landscaping, but like with the flowers, there's a word, but I forgot it. That's all up my gift. So luckily we have a lot, and I mean a lot of plants in the tropical biome. So I went wild with that. You will see that at the end of this video as well. I went completely wild. Now, the only downside I found that with doing the entire map already is the shadows. This map is really not good for shadows. everywhere that I go, I keep have to readjusting the time because, you know, the shadows just mess it up and I can't actually see what I'm doing. So you will see it as well on the left side of the mountain. It's completely in shadows. So if I want to place something and I want to see what I'm doing, I kind of have to adjust the daylight and then go to the other side and then adjust the daylight again. So tedious. Also, that rock work, yes, it is the same rock work as everywhere, and yes, I'm just copying it over. But that actually is a very good tip. So that means your rock work will be cohesive and it will generally look like you're doing it in one style. I mean, sure, now it kind of looks weird, but that's because I didn't put any plants down yet. In a minute, when we are done with all this rock work, which is kind of rocking, I'll stop with the puns now, I'm sorry. You will see that actually the rocks combined with the landscaping, it actually looks really, really well. I still can't get to it that I can't remember the other word for landscaping. I can't, I'll finish this voiceover and I'll suddenly remember. Anyways, other things concerning this zoo, I want to work with a lot of natural barriers, but I'm not quite sure if that's going to work or succeed because I already did all the landscaping, and I'm not quite sure how that's going to work. So we'll see. It's also very possible that I'll add a lot more landscaping and a lot more mountains, but I do feel like it looks very natural, especially I mean, you guys already saw it from the beginning cinematics, and also at the end cinematics you will see it again. It looks completely cohesive with a map around it, and I feel like that's really important if you want to set down a good detailed zoo. Yeah, so that's my point. Basically that. Yeah, it will also mean that there will be only one Planet Zoo video a week, because I really want to put my time and effort into making this as detailed as I possibly can. Possibly the videos will be a little bit longer, like usually I make videos between the 10 and 20 minutes. I try to keep it there at least because I feel like a lot of people don't want to watch a video that's like 45 minutes long. But I also feel like that might become reality with Planet Zoo if I want to keep it like so you can actually see what I'm doing. So apologies ahead, and if you don't want to watch a video that's that long, watch it in 2 parts. Or just let me know in the comments down below and I'll make multiple parts of it. But for now, that's kind of my idea for just make it a little bit longer, and it's completely fine. Also, fun thing I'm doing here, right? So I made this river that comes streaming out of the mountains. And in rivers you see a lot of rocks usually, like rocks and foliage and all that stuff. Foliage, that was the word I'm looking for. Landscaping and foliage, that was it. I remembered. So I wanted to make it look like there's actually water coming around the rocks, like the water is really splashing on it. And if you put rocks in between those little splashy items that we have in the game, it actually makes it look like the water is going around the rock and like it's floating away. And I actually think I did that pretty brilliant, if I'm honest. I'm actually quite happy with it. You'll also see me like adjusting the terrain multiple times, like a lot of times. Just a little bit lower here, a little bit higher there. In the end, I feel like it really did a number. Well, not a number, it really did good. And it actually looks really, really good. I'm actually also quite proud of what I did. So I believe right now we are heading over to the foliage, if I remember correctly. So I was making sure that I had like 4 or 5 different trees from the tropical biome. Luckily we have a lot of options to choose from. And also I was making sure that I matched the ones that were in the map around it. So you have like the map that you can build on, and then you have to world around it. So I made sure that the trees were similar to the ones that I had there. Very important, because you want things to look cohesive. So right now we are placing those trees, and I can't remember, to be honest, which trees that I used. I think you should be able to see it in the right hand corner, but again, it's very blurry for me when I'm actually recording this voiceover, so don't pin me on that. For this tree I'm making sure that you can't see the roots, because I actually don't like that. So we are again placing them all over the map. Now, I'm a big fan of foliage and landscaping. That's one of my favorite things to do in all the games. Whenever there's a new building game, I always look at the build and buy and at the foliage. and the landscaping options, because that's what I find really important. And I'm absolutely happy that Planet Zoo has such a good option and that it's so heavily detailed. Same with the rock work. I'm amazed with how detailed it actually is. So this map is going to be looking amazing when it's actually done, and I am quite impressed with that. And even if I say so myself, I'm actually really happy with it. So right now we are placing this weird looking trunk tree, and we are actually sinking it down to make it look like we have some bushes next to the waterfall. And we are also making sure that it's very green right next to the waterfall. So right now this map is going to be look more in unity and more one because of all the trees. Otherwise it looks a little bit weird and boring. But with all the foliage and all the trees and the landscaping that we are doing, it actually looks rather good. And that's coming from me, and I'm very critical, but I absolutely love the way that this actually turns out looking. I'm very proud of it. I was so proud that I showed it to my mom, because, you know, I like it, and I really, really like it, and I only show stuff to my parents that I really, really like. So, and I really like this. Again, here with the rocks, when looking at natural waterfalls, you don't just only see rocks and waterfalls. You see a lot of foliage there as well. So when creating a map, I always try to do that, like make sure it looks as natural as possible, because that's what you want. I didn't want to fabricate it zoo, I wanted a zoo that looked very natural. And I absolutely think that I nailed that on this zoo. And I'm very proud of it. I'm gonna say it again, but I'm so proud of the way that it actually turns out. In the beginning, I wasn't actually quite sure. I was making it, I was like forming the water. I was like, okay, I kind of want some water here, and maybe some more water there, and then a little puddle there, but I don't want to do too much. Don't want to do too little. I want it to be absolutely perfect. And then I obviously went with making giant mountains and little hills and small valleys, and it was absolutely terrifying because I was spending all this time into something that I never actually did, and I wasn't sure if I was doing it correctly. And then the rocks came in, and I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna look amazing. And then I put all the rocks in there, and I was like, yeah, okay, it doesn't exactly look the way I figured. But then when I put the actual foliage in, man, did this look amazing. Here we are again. I do know the name of this tree. This is the Brazilian nut tree. I remember that because it is a slightly different color than the trees all around, so I remembered. And I do believe this is going to be the last tall tree that we are adding in here. Right now for this weird tendril tree, I believe it is. I'm using this tree like sunken in most of the time, just to make sure like it looks like actual bushes and a lot of overgrown stuff. And I personally love this tree. It is very green with some of them little red fruits or flowers. I didn't quite pay attention to what it was. Also, I landscaped and made this map, I believe, 2 weeks ago. And I'm just now recording it because it took me some time, like 1 week to make it, and then editing and all that stuff, you know, real life takes time as well, unfortunately. Right now we are doing the last thing, and I believe it's not a holy tree. I can't remember which tree this is. Anyway, like it's there in the right hand corner again, but I just can't read it because it's blurry. And this small little tree is perfect for making things look like bushes. I absolutely love the way it is, and I know that people might think, well, Nym, you're showing very much landscaping and foliage, why not more terrain work? Well, to be fair, personally, I am much more interested in looking at stuff, making it look more natural than I am with terraforming. I mean, obviously, if you guys want that, hit me up, send me a tweet, hit me up on Discord, whatever, YouTube comments as well. I always answer, so don't worry, I always answer in comments. I'm very friendly, I don't bite. And I am much more interested in actually the foliage than I am in other aspects of this game, which sounds very bad, but I'm just really into nature, so yeah. There is this one YouTuber, I believe, his name is Mike Sheets, and he has this botanical garden let's play, and I'm absolutely in love with that. Love the way that he makes it looks all natural. Anyways, I'm going off topic again. So guys, this was the first episode of the Red Tail Zoo. That is what I'm going to name this zoo. I don't know why, I felt like it was a very cute name and I quite liked it. So if you like this video and if you want to see more of me, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You can also hit the bell icon so you get notified when my next video goes live. I upload 3 times a week, 2 Sims 4 videos and 1 Planet Zoo. I would be thrilled to have you guys join our little side of the internet and we can make it an awesome place. And I hope you have a very good morning, afternoon or evening wherever you are, and I will hope to see you next time. Bye guys.